Okay, so in this chapter, I'm going to work on the seat pan. So I'm going to use the same technique as I've used for the backrest, meaning that I'm going to use one of those primitives, and it's going to be again the box primitive that I'm going to use. So on the Subdi tools, I'm just going to click on the Subdi box, and I'm going to keep the same number of segments in the X, Y, and Z direction. So I'm just going to left click to place my first point in the top view, and I'm just going to randomly position with the second click my second point from my box from the top view. So it doesn't matter the width exactly, because I'm going to delete anyways to make a reflect like I did for the backrest. And now in the back view or the front viewport, I'm going to give the thickness or set the height for my box, and there you have it. So I have got a simple box like this, and it's already in a smooth mode. So if I press tab, you see what it looks like as a box model. So I'm just going to bring this up using the gumball, and I can already see that, you know, it needs to be readjusted a little bit. So I'm just going to, with the gumball, you see the red arc, I'm just going to give it a bit of an incline and move it about this far, bring it down. Maybe you can switch to the ghosted mode if you wish to see through. Now if you find that you don't see through too well, like in this case, and you're yet in the ghosted mode, what you can do is you go to Tools, Options, and in Tools Options it's going to take you to the Rhino Documents menu, and all the way down where it says View, you've got here a little arrow that you can unscroll, and you've got Display Mode. So again, click on the arrow to unscroll the menu, and I want to go to the Ghosted mode, so I'm going to click on Ghosted here, and in the right hand side of my menu I've got the Display Mode options for the ghosted item. So if you go further down here where it says transparency, it's set to only 35, so I can type in, for example, 85% transparency and click OK, and now you can see much better through the geometries when you're set into the ghosted mode. Okay, so now I'm going to select this box, and with my gumball I'm just going to click on the white handle and just click on Align to Object. No, it doesn't do anything. That's too bad. What I can do is so I can do a relocate gumball if I want to, and I'm going to click on Project, so to make sure that it's projected on the ZY plane, and I'm just going to click on Vertex like that, and I can find any vertex, for example this one, and then the second point will be my X direction, and there's my Y direction at 90 degrees. So now I've reset my gumball so that it's aligned with the box, and now I can use the green handle of my gumball, and I can do a scale 1D just to bring it up a bit higher. Now I could have selected, if I wanted to, selected each individual points like this one by one, and then drag them if I want. That's up to you, you know, but I prefer doing it the way I did it. And again, I noticed that I need to bring it further down. So let's bring it about here and use the handle of my gumball and just make it thicker. Bring it further down. Something like that. Something that matches more or less my sketch. So if I press the tab key, when it's smooth, you can see that it's stretching the corners and all that. It's smoothing it out, and that's the result, okay? So like I said, I'm gonna take this, and I'm gonna, first of all, I'm gonna isolate the others. So the Layers tab, maybe I'm gonna hide my background images, and I'm gonna select all of these geometries here for my backrest, and I'm just gonna hide them so that I can focus on this. And what I'm gonna do now is press Ctrl Shift once again, and I'm gonna do a box selection from the top view. I'm going to select only half of it, as you see on the screen, and I'm just going to press delete to remove that part. Okay, that's good. Okay, so now I think I want to align this vertex with the 0, 0 line with the blue axis, which is my Y axis. So I'm just going to draw a line that starts at 0. So I'm going to press 0, right click for enter. I'm going to press shift to lock it along the Y direction. And I'm just going to left click and then right click. So now I have a nice straight line that starts at the point 0. And I want to make sure that my vertices here line up with this line here. So maybe I'm going to snap in perpendicular. I'm going to have vertex on my snapping toolbar checked. I'm going to have perpendicular, and maybe I can try near as well to be checked. And I'm just going to press Control Shift and select my control points and my edges like that. I'm going to click on move, and I'm going to zoom in, and then I can grab any point. For example, I can grab this vertex. Make sure also that you click on project on your snapping toolbar, by the way. So I'm going to grab the vertex here, for example, and I'm just going to drag it so that I can snap to the line that I just sketched that starts at point 0. So that way I know that this segment will be perfectly flush with the y-axis, I mean, and so that it's perfectly centered, as you can see here. Okay. So now that I've done that, I don't need this line anymore, so I can delete that. I'm going to do the reflect. So I'm going to select my box. I'm going to click in the Subdivision tool, find the reflect tool or icon. I'm going to left click on that. So start our reflection plane. I'm going to put myself in the back viewport. I'm going to say y-axis, then pick a point on the side to keep. So I'm going to pick on this side here, and then snap to reflection plane. I'm just going to leave it to automatic and just right click for to do the reflect, to do the reflection, I mean. So there you have it. I've got the reflection done, so I can bring back my backrest as well to see overall, and bring back my background images just to see what it looks like overall. All right. So the next step I'm going to do is add the stitches that go around on the side of my cushion. All right. It's a bit too rounded also. So by adding the stitches, it's going to make the corners a bit sharper. So I'm going to press Control Shift, and one by one, I'm going to select the segments like I'm doing right now. So I'm selecting these segments. Like so. So it's making one nice loop on the side like that. I'm going to press the Tab key because I want to be in the box model, and you can see what it looks like in the box mode. So now I'm going to use the bevel key. So here's the bevel mesh or sub D on my sub D toolbar, and I'm going to give it a certain width. So let's try something like that. All right. So if I press the Tab key again, you can see that now the corner has become sharper. All right. And what I can do, because I've added these segments, so if I double click and double click this one, you can see that I have two loops going around now. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add even more sharpness. I still find that it's a bit rounded here, so I'm going to press Tab, and I'm going to press Control Shift, and now Rhino should understand that this is going to be a loop by double clicking. Okay, previously I couldn't do that. I had to select one segment at a time, but this time I'm pretty sure though. So let me demonstrate this for you. If I press Control Shift and I double click on one of these segments, for example this one, so I'm going to Control Shift and double click, you can see that it understands that it's this loop that I want to select. All right, and so by doing that, I'm going to add more details. So I'm going to bevel again, and I'm going to do it about this big. So now if I press the Tab key, so I've added more faces on either side of that segment that I selected. If I press the Tab key, that's what it looks like. Okay. So now it's a nice sharp corner, and I'm going to press Tab. No, I'm going to remain in the smooth mode. Sorry about that. So now I'm going to press Control Shift and double click on that segment. So let's do that right now. Double click like that. And now because I'm in the smooth mode, and that's if I press the Tab key to be in the box model, this is the center loop of these two faces that I created lastly. So let me go back to the sub-D mode. I'm going to use the gumball, and I'm just going to push it inwards. Actually, instead of doing inwards, let me press Control undo. Let's do it again. So double click. Instead of pushing it inwards, I'm going to use either the green or the red handle of my gumball to scale 3D. So I'm going to press Shift and do a scale 3D. And you can see what it does. I'm just bringing this inside like that, and maybe I'm going to push it now with the blue axis of my gumball in this direction like that. And again, I can press shift and do another scale 3D if I want to sharpen it even more, and so on. And that way I can create this illusion of a stitch. And now I can press Ctrl Shift and select these faces. And if I've done my reflect tool, by the way, properly, it should do the same on the other side. So always check that it does on the other side, which is the case. That's good. So now I can select these faces, and I'm just going to bulge them outwards to accentuate that puffiness, if I can use that term, for my cushions. I want to make it look like very plush, you know. So I'm going to select all these faces like that. And with the gumball, again, I'm just going to pull it outwards just slightly. And I'm going to press Ctrl Shift and deselect these faces now. And accentuate even more that puffy look that I want. So that's why Subdies are great for organic modeling compared to NURBS modeling. NURBS modeling works also well for organic modeling, but it's more work, I would say. So for me to do cushions that I can do in one afternoon using Subdies would take me a couple of days to do it using NURBS surfaces, okay? So now what I want to do is carry on with that pattern that you see in the middle of my backrest here. I want to carry this pattern all the way on my seat pan up to this point here, and then I'm going to start adding the little details that we see if you follow my cursor like I did on the backrest. So I'm going to press the tab key first of all, because I want to make sure that so what you can see that, for example, when I beveled, I have this loop here, but I'm going to keep it where it is. I'm not going to move it around. Okay, so I'm going to leave it. So what that means, I'm going to add another segment here. So I'm going to start adding more details. So I'm going to press Ctrl Shift, select that segment. And in my Subd toolbar, I'm going to find the select edge ring. So it's going to go all the way around. It's going to loop it once more. All right, as you can see here. And then I'm going to do an insert edge. So I'm adding segments in that direction. And I'm going to try and line it up with my stitches on my backrest like this. There you go. Okay, so it does the same on the other side. That's great. So let me press tab again to see if it looks about right. So that looks about right to me. All right, and what I can do now is I'm going to Control Shift and select these faces. So there are different ways of doing it. You can add a bevel if you want, and by selecting the segments. But in my case, I'm gonna choose, for example, these faces here, and I just want to make sure. Okay, and then I'm going to extrude it. So I'm just going to select all these faces, and then I'm going to click on extrude. And I just want to make it go in the, so now I'm in the free mode, so it doesn't know how to extrude it. You could definitely do it like this by using the free mode if you want, but maybe I'm going to try along the Y direction. Is it the Y direction? I just want to make sure. Let me just move the toolbar. It's the Z direction, it seems. So I need to click on Z. There you go. So I have the Z direction. And let me just hide this so that you can see what's going on. There you go. So I'm just adding faces by extruding, and I'm going to give it a bit of a height, not too much, but something like that. And there you have it. So obviously the faces in the front part of my cushion, I need to select those because they're flush with the front face of my outer part of my cushion. If I can use that expression, and I just want to move it a bit forward like that so that I can get the same height as I find here on the top view of my seat pan, and maybe just bring this one a bit down, something like that. All right, and I can also in this view press Ctrl Shift and select all these vertices and maybe bring it down to something like that. Okay. So now if I press the tab key, that's what you see. All right. And again, I'm going to press Ctrl Shift and select, for example, that segment. And I'm going to click on the edge ring, select edge ring, and it should travel all the way around, as you can see with the highlighted segments in yellow. All right. So once I've done that, I'm going to add another insert edge, and you can snap in mid if you wish. So I'm just going to use my snapping toolbar, snap in mid. I'm just going to remove near, perpendicular, remove the project, and I can find the mid of my segment and just snap like that so that I can create a crease, as you can see here. All right. So if I press the tab key, there's my crease in the middle, which is this one. So let me press tab again. And now if I want, I can use the gumball, press shift and do a scale 3D to accentuate that crease slightly like that. And there you have it. Okay. And now again, to accentuate the puffiness, Control Shift and select those faces. For example, just bring it a bit higher just to inflate it, and take this face and that face. Now because my gumball, as you can see, it's oriented normal to the surfaces, to those faces, if I click on the white sphere, make sure that it's aligned to object. That's why it's oriented like that. If you end up with aligned to C-plane, you're going to be with this orientation, which is not bad. I mean, you can still move it around, no problem. But if you want to go along the normal of your faces, select your faces, click on the white handle of your gumball and select align to object. And now you've got your axis that is normal to those faces. And now it can select this blue axis and just pull it in that direction like that. All right. And that's it. Okay, so now I've done that. Let me press shift. So I can choose this segment here. I can select this segment here, this segment here, and you know what? Maybe I'm going to select this segment. So I'm going to Control Shift and select this segment, and I'm going to do another edge ring select like that. So again, make sure that the loop goes all the way around like that. That's good. And I'm going to go and insert another edge, and let's put it. Sorry, about here. There you go. So now if I press tab, that's what it looks like. Okay. So that's not bad. And now what I want to do, well, let me show you something else then. So you can see, for example, if I select this edge or that loop, let's say I select that loop. If I use the gumball, well, it's not bad. If the gumball is aligned with your object, I can definitely move it like this and it's not gonna affect the shape. Okay, let me press Control Alt and show you some different tools. So let me select that loop, but let's assume that the gumball is aligned to C-plane, so that it's aligned with the axis of my world construction plane, so it's perfectly orthogonal. So if I put myself in the left viewport and let me go to shaded mode, if I start using the gumball like this, if I exaggerate, you can see that now it's changing the shape of my box. I'm going to press Control Z to undo, and I'm going to select again that segment. So instead of moving the segments and you end up with this deformation, there's a great tool in the Subdi tools. It's called Slide. So here it's called Slide Mesh or Subdi Edge or Vertices. If I click on the slide icon, you can see that I can move it around without modifying my gumball, and it's never going to modify the shape of my box, but I can move this segment along that geometry without modifying at all. So that's a great little tip for you to know. So again, I'm just going to Control Shift, double click to select that segment, use the slide tool and just move it so that I can line it up like that, and press Control Shift, double click, select that segment, click on the slide tool, move it about here, and Control Shift, double click this segment, use the slide tool and move it, let's say about here. So I want a sort of equal spacing because I want to add a bit of details. And this segment here, Control Shift, and I'm going to slide this. Actually, I didn't have to slide it, but just to put it behind over here. And this one, I'm just going to move it a bit further back. So I have one segment here, and I'm going to slide this one a bit further back like this. Yeah, it's not bad. and this one, I don't want it to be too close to the edge because it makes it too square. So I'm just going to push it further back by using the slide tool again, like that. So if I press the tab key, that's great. Okay, so now I've done that. I'm going to press Ctrl Shift again. I'm going to select these segments and that segment. So I've got 3 segments in the smooth mode, and actually I've got a 4th segment here. So make sure that you select these segments like that. And I'm going to select this segment like that. So make sure that it looks consistent, it looks about right. I'm going to press the tab key to go back in the box model because it's easier for me to visualize. And now I'm going to use again the bevel tool, so bevel mesh or sub D, and I'm going to give about this thickness. So if I press the tab key, that's what it looks like. So now I can Control Shift and select these segments. So I've got 4 segments in my case, like that I need to select, and make sure that it's the middle one. All right. So I'm going to select these, and then I'm going to push them down like that. All right, so I'm creating a little crease. And what I can also do, I can select, for example, these segments that are outside of that middle segment. So I select these 2 segments, and with the gumball, I can use the green handle to do a scale 1D and bring them closer so that I can sharpen even more my segments. Or you can put yourself in the box mode to see what happens. So I'm just increasing the crease appearance. So there you have it. So let me do it again. Control Shift and select 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And with the green handle of your gumball, you just sharpen the crease a bit more like that. Very easy, very fast. And there you have it, like that. Okay. And I can always still select these segments and I can push it down a bit more if I wish, like that, so that I can increase the sharpness. And that's how I achieve these cushions, so that it looks like it's with a different type of foam density, for example. That's what they typically do in the aerospace or the automotive industry for additional comfort, lumbar support, and all that stuff. Okay, so you create the pattern the way you want to create it, and practice using these techniques that I'm showing you. I think, I could add more details. For example, I could add more stitches, for example, for the backrest as well. Okay, so don't hesitate to add details on your own as you're practicing. The more you do, the better you will get at and understand how it works. But make sure, you can notice that I always try to achieve the 4x4, so 4 edges, 4 edges, 4 edges everywhere. It's the best practice. If you end up with triangles, for example, if I press tab key, you're gonna have triangles here because I use the bevel tool. No, actually, I don't even have triangles. Sometimes I end up with triangles. This one is kind of messy, okay? It looks messy. You can clean it up if you want to, but what matters is the end result. If I press the tab key, if it looks about right in the smooth mode, okay? So sometimes when you start modeling in Sub-D, you might end up with overlapping surfaces and all that because you're in the box mode, obviously. But the end result, it's when you apply the smooth mode. So that's why you get this very organic shape as well. If it looks right in the smooth mode, that's great, okay? So you can spend time moving vertices about, edges and all that stuff, but I'll leave that to you. So I would say that's pretty much done for the seat pan and the headrest and the backrest. And that was pretty quick and easy. And now I can move on to adding more details such as the armrest and the seat structure. Okay, so I'll see you at the next video. Thank you.